Good morning, all. I hope you slept well. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little tripped up. By Barron's show that he did last night, his podcast, what he revealed. It's like when you just know things, you can just feel things, you just have an understanding of things, but you can't explain them. It's very hard to explain them because it's like, you know them. Just something in you tells you, something's off, something's not right. Something hasn't been right for a very long time in my community. Something hasn't been right in my life for a very long time. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know something's not right here. And if you go back in my videos, the day that Charlie passed away was a very peculiar day for me. Very peculiar day among many, but it was a very peculiar day for me. And I was at work and I didn't feel good. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of oddness. And there was a plane that kept flying over my work, very low over my work. And planes fly over me all the time, okay? And they do peculiar things all the time. But this particular day was really weird because it was consistent. It was very consistent. It was so consistent that I was like right in my face. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Something's going on. Something's about to go down. And this was before the Big Bang. But I ended up leaving early. I get home and then the whole thing transpired. And then action, synchronicity, pattern, Trump's tweet, everything never aligned. And I knew immediately something was off here. Something was completely off. And I made it very abundantly clear in the videos that I made. Well, that said, Barron. So the FBI plane flew to Crestview, was in Crestview. One of the FBI planes was in Crestview, Florida during the time of the Big Bang. Crestview, Florida is where I live. That's where I live. That is where I live. Born and raised, I have lived here, right next to Eglin Air Force Base. Born and raised. I could tell you all about it.
The official story is that the YB-5 guy was on this plane headed to Provo, Utah. And then shortly thereafter, this plane lands in Crestview, Florida. I don't know what the FBI was doing. I don't know what the FBI was doing in Crestview, Florida. That's never been answered. Then Charlie Kirk lands in Salt Lake City. This plane now leaves Crestview, but it doesn't go anywhere. It leaves Crestview. Crestview, by the way, is adjacent to Eglin Air Force Base. If you were going to fly into Eglin Air Force Base, but don't want to land at Eglin Air Force Base, you would land in Crestview. It is like a mile away. It leaves Crestview, gets up in the air, and starts doing these loops. It just flies in the area. There's another Air Force Base, Tyndall Air Force Base over Panama City. This plane just kind of flies over Panama City for, I don't know, half hour or so. And while it's flying over Panama City, two things take place just a couple of minutes over while it's moving. One is this Tango Whiskey plane lands in Provo. This is what we believe is the YB-5 guy. But the plane that's still in Provo, this is an Egyptian plane that's still in Provo, the transponder comes on. And when the transponder comes on, that tells us the plane's power is on, meaning the communication system's on. So the FBI plane communication systems are on, the Egyptian plane's communication systems are on. That's when this plane leaves Panama City to go back to Crestview. That's when this plane leaves Provo. We'll talk about where it goes in a second. It leaves Provo. I won't spoil the surprise. It goes to Santa Barbara. Tango Whiskey leaves Provo to go to Santa Barbara, we believe, to pick up Andrew Colbert. Keep in mind, this is before Charlie Kirk is taken down, so why would a plane be going to Santa Barbara to pick up Andrew Colbert unless there was some knowledge ahead of time? But I can't, it's only speculation. But this transponder comes on, all this stuff happens. The FBI plane lands at Bob Sykes Airport in Crestview, Florida. The Egyptian plane lands in Wilmington, Delaware. And then a half hour later, the transponder goes off, meaning the power has gone off. This plane was on the tarmac outside of Duncan Aviation this entire time from 10:05 to 11:34, but it was powered up. Transponder was on. The communication systems were on. There's some other planes on here that I'm talking about. Tango Whiskey lands in Santa Barbara at 12:11. Then you have the Big Bang 12 minutes later, and 10 minutes later, it's off the ground from Santa Barbara headed to Scottsdale. Again, if Andrew was on this plane, there's your relevance. N616RK, the FBI plane was rescued. At 1:40, the Egyptian plane is on the tarmac in Provo. Its transponder comes back on.
Now you explain to me why the FBI plane, using tax dollars that we pay for, takes it upon itself to fly to certain areas. Let's take away my area. Who cares where they fly? But they fly in circles. Why is this so common? Why is this such a common theme? Is beyond me. Why would you just fly somewhere to fly in circles? Why do you do that? I'll tell you why you do that. You do that to communicate. Duh. You do that to communicate on lines, on different types of areas where it cannot be traced. That's pretty evident. It's pretty evident, you know? And it's just crazy to me. Absolutely nuts to me. How all of this, the plot thickens, as always. The plot thickens, you know? It's unfortunate that we have landed where we are at today in this investigation, in this life that we all choose to live, in the facet that we choose to live. Yet we have people in this world that carry a lot of prominent power doing things like this that are sketchy. They make no freaking sense. They refuse to answer any questions. There's lack of accountability across the board. But because they say so, because they carry the power in the role that they carry, they're entitled to do these types of things. It's okay. They're entitled to sit here and attack the Pope and bring politics and Christianity together because they say so. Because they are people of whoever they seem to think they are, and they have the ability to do that. And it's just ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. I'm going to do Trump. I'm going to do his hands. Because explain to me that. Why was the FBI plane in Crestview, in my neck of the woods, doing loop-de-loops during the Big Bang? Make that make sense. You know, and it's so funny because I knew without a doubt it was a message. In a lot of different ways. It was a message to me. It was a message to Tucker. It was a message to Candace. It was a message to everybody. Like, if you don't pipe down, if you don't start playing by our rules, we just going to start taking you out. And then not too long later, there was an active shooter in my local area of my place that I work. And that was pushed under the rug. And everything that my local law enforcement put out on their little Facebook page made not one bit of sense. Nothing about it made one bit of sense. How they handled it made not one bit of sense. Okay. It doesn't take a genius or an intelligent person to start piecing things together when they don't make sense. I mean, I know they like to think that we're all dumb and we're all unintelligent, but there's a difference when you just know how to play dumb. And you're like, I ain't even gonna waste my time with this conversation because this fool thinks I'm a fool. And at this point, I'm not going to go toe-to-toe with a fool. Why would I do that? That would just bring me down to their level and start acting like a fool, you know? And it's one of those things. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was like, of course, duh, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, you know? And it's just, it makes me sick to my stomach, to be quite honest with you, because I'm 100% confident that I've been unraveled in some kind of operation. Like I said in a video not too long ago, if you're concerned with the things that I know, start asking them what they did. Start asking them what they did. What is it that I could talk about? Seriously. Because it's just a laundry list. It's a laundry list of the things that I could talk about and the magnitude that these people have went to in my life. Nothing in my life makes sense at this point. Absolutely nothing other than my grandparents, who was just so graciously taken from me in 2008. Another thing that doesn't make any sense. Documents just wiped from the internet. You know, so you tell me. You tell me. You know, we dedicate this book to you, Amanda, your personal and primary guide to solving any and all future problems, troubles, or difficulties that might interfere with your successful journey through life. We love you dearly, Grandma and Grandpa Costin. It's like they knew. It's like the whole part of my personal life, they knew that I was going to be rolled up into some kind of crazy ass thing. Excuse my French. But it just, and I think